My family forced me to wear my sister's old, oversized suit just to embarrass me. I walked into the most important interview of my life feeling humiliated, but the CEO saw my abilities, not my clothes. Then she revealed a secret that made my family regret their behavior for the rest of their lives. My sister placed her old dress in my hands and said, "Wear this. It's not like you need to impress anyone anyway. You just have to go for an interview." She knew the suit was 2 sizes too big for me. She also knew it was the most important interview of my life. My name is Emma Wilson. I was 28 years old and I lived in a small town in Ohio. At that time, my biggest goal in life was to get a position at a good company so I could improve my financial situation and build a stronger future for myself. I had spent weeks preparing for that interview. I researched the company. I practiced my presentation over and over again. I stayed up late at night reviewing my notes. This opportunity was not just a job for me. It was a fresh start. But on the morning of my interview, while standing in front of my closet, I realized I had nothing appropriate to wear. My only good suit had been damaged the previous month, and I didn't have enough money to buy a new one. I asked my sister Rachel for help. Rachel was 31 years old. She always wore expensive clothes, bought designer brands, and took pride in the fact that people noticed what she wore. I asked her, "Can I borrow one of your suits? Just for today?" She looked at me. Then she opened her closet. She pulled out an old blue suit. "Take this." I held it in my hands. "Is this yours?" She smiled. "Yes. But I don't wear it anymore." I tried it on. The shoulders hung down. The sleeves were too long. The pants were loose. I said, "This is too big." Rachel shrugged. "So what? In an interview you're supposed to talk about yourself more than your clothes, right?" The words were true. But there was something else in the way she said them. She wasn't helping me. She was reminding me that I depended on her clothes. My mother Linda walked out of the kitchen. She saw me wearing the suit and said, "Just wear that. It doesn't look that bad." I looked at myself in the mirror. I knew exactly how I looked. It felt like I was trying to wear someone else's life. But I didn't have time. I put on the suit, fixed my hair, and grabbed my car keys. As I was leaving the house, Rachel called from behind me. "Remember, don't expect too much. Big companies don't easily hire people like you." I stopped. I didn't turn around. I just walked outside. The interview was at the headquarters of a large technology company. A glass building. A spotless lobby. People walking around in perfectly tailored clothes. I adjusted my jacket and walked inside. The woman sitting at reception smiled and asked, "Who are you here to see?" I said, "Emma Wilson. I have an interview." I noticed she looked at my clothes for a moment. Then she checked the schedule and said, "Second floor." I stepped into the elevator. I held my notes in my hand. I kept reminding myself that I was there because of my work. Not because of my clothes. 3 people were sitting inside the interview room. An HR manager, a department head, and the company CEO. The CEO's name was Sarah Mitchell. She was around 45 years old. She quietly looked at me. For a second I thought she was looking at my clothes too. But then she placed her pen down and said, "Emma, let's begin. Tell us why you believe you're the right candidate for this position." I took a deep breath. And I started speaking. I talked about my previous work experience. I explained the problems I had solved. I talked about my ideas, my dedication, and my skills. For 15 minutes I forgot what I was wearing. I was only talking about who I was. At the end, Sarah asked me a few more questions. Then she said, "You can go now. We'll contact you." I walked out. I didn't know what would happen. But I knew I had given my best. 2 days later I received a phone call. I got the job. I was shocked. I thought it was only because of my abilities. But the real story started after that. 1 week later I had my first meeting at my new company. When I entered the conference room, CEO Sarah was already there. She motioned for me to sit down. Then she said, "Emma, I want to share something personal with you." I stayed quiet. She picked up a photograph from her desk. It was a picture of a young woman. "This is me." I looked at the picture. She looked completely different. Simple clothes. An old bag. Then she said, "When I was 22 years old I also went to an interview. I didn't have money to buy nice clothes. I wore an old suit that belonged to my cousin." I listened quietly. That suit was also too big for me. She gave a small smile. "But someone saw my clothes instead of my ability." I asked, "What happened?" She said, "I didn't get the job." Then she looked at me. That day I made a decision. If I ever had the power to choose, I would never judge someone because of what they were wearing. I didn't say anything. Then she continued, "And Emma, I know that suit wasn't yours." I was surprised. "How did you know?" She said, "Because I saw the same thing I saw in myself years ago. Someone trying their absolute best despite having limited resources." That day I understood that Sarah had not just given me a job. She had given me an opportunity. A few months later I started moving up in the company. I worked hard. I delivered some of the best results on my team. But my family still didn't know anything. Then one day Rachel called me. "I heard you're working at a big company now?" I said, "Yes." Her voice changed. "That's good." But there was no happiness in her tone. A few days later she came to my house with my mother. Rachel said, "We're proud of you." I looked at them. These were the same people who made me feel small on the most important day of my life. I asked, "Really?" Rachel became quiet. I said, "I remember the day I asked you for help." She lowered her eyes. "Emma, I was just joking." I shook my head. "No, Rachel. That wasn't a joke. You knew that day mattered to me." My mother said, "We didn't realize you would come this far." I answered, "That was the problem. Neither of you ever believed I could." There was silence. Then I showed them the picture Sarah had given me. I said, "Mycia wore an old oversized suit too. The difference was that someone tried to stop her and someone else gave her a chance." Rachel didn't say anything. Years have passed now. I still work at the same company in a senior position. I have enough money to buy any clothes I want. But I never forgot that old suit. The suit my family thought represented my weakness. That same suit became a reminder that a person's worth is not determined by their clothes. My sister tried to embarrass me for one day. But on that same day a CEO saw me. And she saw what my family never did. My ability. If this story inspired you, please support our channel by giving this video a like and subscribing for more emotional and powerful stories. Your support helps us continue sharing stories about courage, resilience, and unexpected life changes. Thank you for spending your time with us, and we truly appreciate every one of you watching today.